Hi everyone, this is Paris Debono of the Fortune Teller Shop, and today I'm going to explain what a horoscope is. The word horoscope comes from two Greek words, horos, meaning time or hour, and skopos, which means to observe. Many people confuse horoscopes as astrology. They think that because they read their newspaper horoscope and it may not fit them, that they think that that means astrology doesn't work. Let me explain.
How much truth do you put into it? You know, I know this. You go right into the planets and all of that, the rising sign and all that kind of stuff.
Well, everyone has a chart, an astrology chart.
Yeah.
And when you do someone's astrology, you're looking at the time, the place, the date that they're born, not just their date. And horoscopes, the ones that are in the newspapers that you read and that we all know our own star sign, those are just your sun sign. So in astrology, you have to actually look at all the planets and then see the combinations of what the planets are actually doing. So astrology is very, very complicated and very complex.
Much more than what you read in the Sunday lift out from the paper.
Yeah, people confuse horoscopes, which are in the Sunday papers, with astrology.
Horoscopes is not astrology.
Horoscopes is a part.
Just
a small part of astrology. And often they're not based on the planets, depending on the person who writes them. Some writers are not actually astrologers, they might be just good writers. And some of them, especially the daily ones, the ones that you get every day, they're just like little messages.
Really?
I see them more like fortune cookies.
I was going to say exactly this. You took the words.
They can be accurate. But they're not based on their planets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually, if I was going to read a horoscope, I'd want to see maybe a monthly one, because then it gives the planets time to move, and the astrologer can then sort of say this planet's moving into this house and whatever. But daily ones, I do read them, but I use them like a little pick-me-up,
Unless they're really bad.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, that's really negative, unless it's a negative writer,
Yeah. Have you been asked to do that?
I used to write horoscopes.
Did you?
Yeah.
Where?
I used to write in a few magazines in Sydney a few years ago, and when I was in Europe, I also wrote a monthly horoscope, and I used to also have a weekly section. It was a little column in the newspaper, and I would write weekly about different things, like tarot, astrology.
You should be doing that again.
Yeah, it was actually quite fun. Yeah. I did it a few years ago, and then the magazine, I think they changed or went to a different style or something, but I've done that for a few years. It's quite fun.
I can imagine you putting your all into that as well. Definitely. Yeah. Paris is, of course, does horoscopes, he does palm readings as well, and he does all of those amazing cards.
So as mentioned on the video, I did write horoscopes, and I actually wrote for several different magazines, and some of the magazines I wrote for were monthly. They came out once a month. And in those publications, I would literally look up the planets, and I would do a horoscope, like a forecast for each zodiac sign, and I would see what planets are squaring or trining or affecting or conjuncting your sign, and I would take it quite seriously. But I also had to make it fun, because most of the magazines I wrote for were entertainment magazines, so they wanted entertainment. That's the whole point of horoscopes. And then I also worked for some magazines that I wrote for weekly. Now those ones, the horoscopes, are more playful because they came out once a week, and the big planets don't move that fast. Obviously the sun and the moon and Mercury will be moving quite fast, but the others wouldn't move very much in a week. So those ones were more entertainment. And again, the publications that I wrote for were entertainment. They were usually music or entertainment or pop culture magazines. Sometimes they were Sunday magazines. People wanted to have a bit of fun. So yeah, I agree. The horoscopes are more playful. So should you take a horoscope seriously? Probably not. Can a horoscope give you an insightful message? Probably yes. It depends on how you use it. So I've been a professional, what I call fortune teller, since 1990. And in that time, I've met a lot of people who say they are skeptics. Lots. I have a fortune telling shop, and I get to see the public every day outside my window. Most people walk by and look at the shop and say the fortune teller. I mean, I hear that about 1,000 times a day. Some people have snide remarks, some people say it's bullshit, some people say it's not true. I've heard every comment, and I've also heard good comments too, like people say it's amazing and all the rest of it. Occasionally I get someone that comes inside and challenges me. And I want to tell you about an example that happened about 2 weeks ago. 2 guys came into my shop and they were looking around, and I said, "Can I help you?" And one of them said, "Oh, this is all bullshit. It's not true." And I normally just ignore people like that because I just don't have the time to really try to convert every single person. But this day I was kind of feeling adventurous, and I said to him, "Oh, okay, and have you ever had a fortune-telling reading?" He said he couldn't remember. He said he might have had one when he was in his younger days, but he doesn't remember. And I said, "So you're basing it on what knowledge that it's not true?" He turned around and he said, "If I do him a reading and it's accurate, he'll give me $400. So I was like, "Okay." I said, "All right, let's do it." I said, "Let's shake on that." So I said to him, "Just to be clear, if I do you an accurate reading, you're going to give me $400. And he said yes. So I said, "Okay, we have a deal, man to man. We've shaken on it, it's done." So we sat down, I shuffled the cards, and I told him to pull 3 cards out. The first card he pulled was Venus, the goddess of love. So I said to him, "You're thinking about your love life right now?" He just looked at me with a puzzled look on his face. I said, "Pull the next card," and he got Saturn. And I said, "Well, it looks like your love life is over. It looks like you've ended something." Because Venus is the goddess of love, but Saturn represents endings and things dying away and decaying. Saturn is the god of spring cleaning and letting go. The third card that he pulled was Apollo, the god of the sun. Now in mythology, Apollo was very much self-centered and self-focused. He was represented as a young, beautiful youth, and he was very much about his own ego. And Apollo was never married, although he chased a lot of nymphs and goddesses. He used to burn them often. His love life was quite tragic, and he was very egocentric. And so I said to this person, this client, I said, now you're focusing on yourself, and you're actually rebelling against love, and you're actually fighting against any form of relationship, and you just want to be focused on yourself. I said, you also have to watch your ego because of the card Apollo. And he didn't respond. And I said, does that make sense to you? And he didn't respond. So I turned to his friend and I said, does that make sense to you? And his friend nodded yes. His friend nodded yes. Okay. Then the guy said to me, but I could have just guessed all of that. So then I said, okay, well, let's pull out 2 more cards and see what the cards want to tell you. And he pulled out Jupiter. Now, Jupiter usually means travel and adventure. So I said to him, you're about to go overseas, and Jupiter often means far away. Mercury usually means short distance, but Jupiter is long distance. And then the next card he got was Gaia, the mother goddess. And I said, you're going to travel far away to go and visit your family, and especially your mother. Now, by this point, he was as white as a sheet. He'd turned white, like he'd seen a ghost. And his friend that was with him also was the same, kind of like shell-shocked of what I just said. Now, I basically said simple things. I mean, this is like a very basic reading. And then I said to him, was I accurate? And he said, yes. The backstory is that he just had a messy divorce a few months back. He's kind of doesn't trust women. That's the Apollo. So the messy divorce was kind of Venus-Saturn ending, sad ending. Apollo is a bit like ego. And then he's deciding to go from Australia to fly over to Europe to hang out with his family and visit his mother. So I just made $400, just like that. Very easy. Perhaps I should invite more skeptics into my shop every day. Now I ended up doing him a full reading as well, so he got his money's worth. So back to the topic of horoscopes. Are horoscopes 100% accurate for every single person that reads the paper? No. Horoscopes are general fun, they're entertainment, and they can often offer you some insights about yourself. Does astrology work? Well, it depends on how you use it. For me, as a professional astrologer, it works perfectly well. And as I've shown you in this example of using the planetary cards, it can tap into a person's archetypes, where they're at and where they're going. So yes, it works for me. The way I do it, it works. And I think the point of this video is, for skeptics, it's fine to be skeptics. It's fine to be skeptical. I think it's actually healthy to be skeptical. But it's not fine to be skeptical if you have no evidence or research. Most people are skeptical, but they haven't done any background research, or haven't even gone to a reading, or haven't even met a professional reader. So that's where I have my issue with it. So I rest my case. This is Paris Debono of the Fortune Teller Shop.